You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. Well, it's another day, baby. That's right. It's another magical day. It's crappy to happy October in the building, baby, with another wonderful author from the Crappy to Happy book, baby. It's some tag team action. And we have a wonderful lady right here who I believe is actually one of the original Sacred Stories Media author crew. So she's extra fabulous with some extra knowledge because not only in addition to being a wonderful author, she's also a healer, blogger, as well as a podcast host of Color Revolution. And this wonderful lady right here offers a unique healing information techniques that can help people of all ages. You heard that right, folks, of all ages, lead a healthier and happier life. And what makes it even better is that she's also a fellow contributor for Biz Catalyst 360 and the author of 2 inspirational novels. So let's give it up for this fabulous lady right here of 2 H's, Miss Helen Heinmiller. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing wonderful, Dom. It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely enjoy talking to you.
Oh, yeah, that's right, with all the plums. All the plum, please, and pleasure goodness. Yes, indeed. Well, sounds like someone's ready and raring to go, so I'm pretty sure there are like probably 5 days of information I missed. Am I filling in any cavities I missed about the Heavenly Helen?
Well, I think you nailed most of it, but I am, just moved to a beautiful lake in Virginia where I'm doing more research on the color energy work, and I'm, looking to expand the knowledge to as many people as possible. So.
Oh, there we go. Back at the DMV. That's what I'm talking about. Sweet. So I'm guessing you're away from all the traffic, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm at Smith Mountain Lake, and I got a little house on the lake, and it's absolute bliss.
Oh, sweet. Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
freaking
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
House on the lake, all up in the mountains, like away from the hustle and bustle. That's awesome.
What a difference. I got to tell you, from going from, Philly, outside Philly, East Coast to a much quieter place. It's really a good time to do it, I have to say.
There you go. From cheesesteaks to rocks, right?
Yep. Yeah, there's no food to compare with.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So what really led you to the wonderful study of color? Because that's not something you hear about every day.
Well, it's not something I thought I'd ever do either. So, and that's, it kind of goes back to the story in Crappy to Happy that I titled Awakening, because it was my moment of awakening to that there is much more in this world. I mean, just awakening to that we ourselves are much more than we have been taught to believe. And there's so much more to access in the world once you connect with that part of you that is that greater part of you. And some people call it your soul. I call it the soul light. Before I started doing, anything with the color, I was a corporate America go-getter, climbing the ladder of success and then getting up there, and the last few greasy rungs, and getting up to the top and going, I worked hard. I didn't have a college education, so it was doubly hard to get to that management level. And I wasn't happy. I was crappy. It was a very stressful time. I had a newborn baby. I was in a really, really stressful position. And back when there were no child leave, laws or anything. And I was in a good old boys environment. And so I got no sympathy when I had decisions of pink eye and staying at home and major vendor meeting, so it was a struggle and a balance, because I felt guilty all the time. I felt guilty I wasn't at work. I felt guilty I wasn't at home, with my daughter, and the stress got pretty bad. So I decided I needed to find some place to escape just once during the week where I wasn't a mom and I wasn't a wife and I wasn't a manager. And I decided to check out this Episcopal church we were going to. They had this little Tuesday night prayer group. And so I moseyed on over there and thought I was just going to sit there and meditate and, for an hour and get away from everything. And I met these 4 awesome elderly ladies. I called them my grandmoms, and some of them might get insulted by that because they probably at the time weren't that much older than me, but they had that energy, that grandmotherly energy. And they were not the normal church-going prayer people. They had special stuff they could do, and it was really striking because it was an Episcopal church, so it wasn't any like evangelical kind of expression. That's a very conservative church. So these 4 ladies, they taught me so many things. And one of the women, when I first went there, she started speaking in tongues. Well, I didn't know it was tongues at the time, and I got totally freaked out. I am this businesswoman. I've got this reputation, and I'm sitting here with these 4 women, and, this woman's got her eyes rolled back and she's, chanting this stuff next to me. And she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, but it was the first time I ever heard it. And so I was pretty shocked after that. And they all knew I'd be shocked. They were just waiting for it. They opened their eyes after the prayer and they're like, let's see this girl. Let's see how she reacts to this kind of thing. And they explained to me what it was, and it was a gift of the Holy Spirit, right? So they said, as an adult, you can be re-received by the Holy Spirit. But as an adult, you have to be willing to take on whatever gifts the Holy Spirit gives you. And there's 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. And I don't remember all of them, but, there was prophecy and healing, and there was tongues. And so I went, okay, no, this is not for me. And I just thanked them, and I went home, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is kind of crazy. So I, turns out the next week was the most disastrous week in my career. I had a director, stab me in the back and put my ethical reputation in jeopardy with all the other vendors that I was working with. And I just was like, okay, is this worth the money anymore? I don't know what to do. Everybody's saying, you can't leave that job. You're making the money, you don't have a college education. Who else is going to hire you for this? And then I was just struggling with, I'm a professional person. Everything I do is very professional, but I don't like this work anymore because I know if I stay, I'm going to become them. That's the only way I will survive here is if I join the crowd, And so, next Tuesday night, I went back to the prayer group. And I was just so desperate. I was so sick inside. I was so unhappy with the problem that I was in. There was no way to get out of it. The director is over me, and I didn't have any power to change anything. And so I just went, well, let me try it. Let me just get re-received by the Holy Spirit and let's see what happens. And so I told them, like, I just ran into the church and went, let's do it. Let's do it. I don't want to be re-received. And maybe I'll get an answer that I need, So I did, and it was the most interesting experience. They explained to me they're going to stand in a circle around me and put their hands on my shoulders and head, and they're going to pray, and Jody's going to do her thing, and I'm going to most likely faint and fall backwards like you see in those evangelical TV shows where they just fall back and they catch them and lay them on the ground.
Yep.
And I was like, what am I doing? I just felt absolutely insane in the moment. And I just went, but I kept saying, I just kept doing it. There was something about these ladies. They were not normal, average people. I just trusted them. I just felt like, okay, it's going to be okay. And so I did it. And they put their hands on me and they did their prayers, and I'm waiting to fall back and I'm waiting to fall back, and I don't. And I'm like, and inside I'm going, and while they're doing it, I'm going, please don't give me tongues. Please don't give me tongues. I can deal with a lot of stuff, but not tongues. And so I just looked at them, and they knew I was like, devastated. It's like, oh shit, I can't, the Holy Spirit won't even help me. What kind of a person am I that I can't even fall back, And so they're like, oh no, honey, don't worry about it. You'll know it when you get your gifts. And not everybody falls back, And I'm thinking they're probably looking at each other. Nobody falls back. Everybody falls back. So I left the church in the meeting, and I was really depressed. First I was like, what am I doing? Why did I think this was going to help me? I'm a career person, and I'm not a religious person. I was always more of a spiritual person. So I was like, I can't believe I even tried this, after it didn't work, So I got into my little Mitsubishi car, one of those little tiny compact cars. And it was very dark, and I had to go through farm fields, and a very dark, windy, with the tall corn on each side. You couldn't see anything. And so I was kind of distracted and angry at myself, or feeling foolish, kind of thing. And there was this big Lincoln that started barreling down behind me. One of those old Lincolns that, went a car, like a whole block. They were a heavy thing. And the lights were blinding every mirror that I had. It was just like the side mirrors, the driver's mirror, whatever you call it, the rear view mirror. And I couldn't see anything. And it was almost, I didn't even catch then that was kind of mystical, like that there was this light, that's just bright light. And so I was kind of angry at it. And I was going around the first very sharp curve. And all of a sudden I hear, deer, hit the brakes. And just before I went into the curve, I hit the brakes. I come around, and in my lane is this big female deer. And she is standing there, deer in the headlights, frozen. And I'm, for 1 second, going, I'm dead. This little car isn't gonna survive. It's gonna crush me. And all of a sudden, Dom, I saw these hands like pick up the deer like a robot and put it on the side of the road. And then I went by and I saw the deer like locked eyes with me and everything. And I come out of that curve, and it's a little straight, and then another curve. But then I look in the mirror, and the Lincoln had hit the brakes. And if I had not hit the brakes before I went around that bend, he would have ended up creaming me, when I hit the deer, but most likely. And so, so then I finally came to my street. I pulled over on the side to recover, and I just went to thank the person next to me, and I was alone, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? I felt a hand on my shoulder. I felt the voice in my right ear. It was like my best friend was there saying, dear, hit the brakes, and so I just thought, oh my gosh, I have no idea, what just happened, but there was somebody in that seat next to me, and it felt like a body was like, I didn't even have a thought at the time that it wasn't, but that I was alone, and so that's the beginning of how I ended up getting some of those gifts of the Holy Spirit. And not too long after that, it was time to move on, and I had the strength to walk away from a pretty darn good career, and a very long journey. That was when I was in my 30s, of figuring out what these gifts are and what I'm supposed to do with them. And always still with me in the mindset of, I'm a business person, what am I doing with this stuff? And so one of the gifts was I started having energy coming out of my hand, and then I started seeing these colors that are not colors that we can see with our physical eyes. They're called solar color energies. And then I started learning about them and developing products and having sessions with people using the color energies and having fantastic results. Not without a cost of, losing, family and friends and business acquaintances who just couldn't understand what was happening to me because it wasn't happening to them. Yeah. So that's how I started with the color energies. Yeah.
Ah, man. It's amazing how when you get to a new level of growth, and
Mm.
especially when it comes to spiritual growth, how like you really get this realization that some folks aren't really allowed to grow with you. Some of them have to be
Yeah. Yeah.
left behind.
Yeah. And that's a painful thing because we fight leaving them behind,
Mhm.
but then, it took me a long time to realize that. But it also was kind of, I've dealt and grappled with a sadness that the knowledge that I've been given, this is not just for healing, physical healing. This is learning to connect with the power inside of you.
Mhm.
We keep trying to solve our problems from the external, and we have all that we need inside of us. And also what's inside of us is our commonality. We all have it inside of us. I don't have a special soul that is different than your soul. We all come from the one creative force. Call it what you want. You can call it nirvana, God, the spirit, all those different names. It's really the creative source. And it's not that I get a little bit of it and you get a little bit of it, and it's a different part of the source. We get kind of like a hologram of the source. So we all have every aspect of the source in us. And when you tap into that, Dom, you can use that for business as well as for healing your body. You can use that for solving problems. A corporation has a soul light. Businesses have a soul light. A career has a soul light. And when you and everybody, the sadness is that, we separate the business and the education and the healing and the problem solving from the source from us. And so that's why I think we are where we are in the world today, is because we're not tapped into who we are. So we can't solve what's out there because we have to we have to do it from that heart center. And that is not a foo-foo thing. It's a very serious place to start. And the career people that I've worked with that have looked at what they want to do, like with a career change or what they want to do with their business, and they start applying the principles of the soul light to creating that soul light for that business, it changes the flow of everything. And I get sad that that this is so hard to get out to people.
Hey, it can be hard, but I feel like it's becoming a little more closer to the forefront, at least from my perspective, because
Mhm.
it's like when you seek out something, it really becomes better. Because funny enough, I was actually sitting in a conference probably about a good year and a half ago, and this one guy was actually talking about how he read a scripture in the book of Proverbs, usually every day, because he's also a preacher and he had a landscaping company.
Mhm.
And in his heart, it told him like he had this opportunity to make this investment. And this was right before the 2008 crash hit. And like the day before the crash hit, he was actually going to make that investment. But something told him, like an inner voice said, hey, don't jump the gun just yet. Wait a while.
Mhm.
And the day after, when he realized that investment, the crash hit, he realized that would have bankrupted his business. And his business was around up to that point, I think for around a good 80 years. It was a family company.
Mhm.
And all that would have fallen on him if he didn't listen to spirit. So you're
Mhm.
definitely right. Like,
Yeah.
especially
Mhm.
nowadays, where I feel like it's more needed now more than ever to really be a heart-centered spiritpreneur. Like, you really got to tap into the inner
Mhm.
spirit that we all have and not try
Mhm.
to make it all tangible, because at the end of the day, we're really exchanging energy that's become tangible.
Mhm. Right, right. And the thing with applying it to businesses and to education systems and things like that is, it's not that you're going to put a crystal in on every desk in your office. I mean, because I think that's the problem is people have this, this, crystal ball and the moo moo kind of, picture of what a corporate soul light would look like. But what it is it's creating the energy of intention, of a purified intention, where you've really sat and thought about, what do I want my company to be? Who do I want my company to help? How do I want my company to look in the world? And when you approach it that way, you can be as profitable as any other corporation or business or career. In fact, you probably will be more, because when you will connect to the channel of universal flow, of universal creation and manifestation, And it doesn't have to be that you're saying prayers before your group meeting, but you form your projects and your career path with the intention of doing more than just making money, of being part of a healthier society, a more creative society,
Oh yeah, you could say that again, indeed.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you've probably helped a couple companies find their soul light in a way, starting with yourself, of course.
Well, yeah, but I actually have done more with individual people with their career paths. I would love to get into companies, to do this, but that's a little harder process, getting in the door, But yeah, but I have experienced the benefits of this many times over, because my version of being at the lake home was a retirement thing, 5-10 years off, if ever. And it happened in 3 months when I just decided, you know what, I don't want to wait till I'm too old to enjoy the lake. I want to, and actually this was before COVID, but my husband, was able to get permission from his company to work from the house, and ends up everybody did before we even moved here, but yeah, so I said, let's go check out the lake. And I was supposed to look at 5 lakes. I looked at one, and it was like, no, I know this is the lake. And then it was, okay, let's go check and see what kind of homes they have, price ranges, all that. And on that trip, that was a few months later, we bought the house. We found the house we loved and we bought it. So that's the kind of manifestation, and it came effortless. There was no struggle, and it wasn't like, oh, I have to try to convince my husband, and oh my gosh, are we going to be able to do this, and how are we going to move, and all that stuff. It was just done. It happened so fast. It was like, oh my gosh, we just bought the home, and now I'm living here, and it's so magical. It's just so gorgeous to be this connected to nature, on an everyday basis.
That's what I'm talking about. Effortless manifestation. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So it's probably some ultimate alignment that you have going on right there that helps you to get to that point.
Well, it's really just, here's the thing. Everybody thinks that it's a lot of work to get there, and it's not. There's a very simple practice that I've created called a soul light manifestation, in which is in my second novel, Final Redemption, where I explain it through story, this concept of, what we're missing. And Final Redemption is really like almost close to becoming prophecy, because it's a fictional story, but it very much parallels what's going on today in the world with the COVID and the hurricanes and earthquakes and things like that. So no, it's actually a very quick 2-minute thing that becomes an instant manifestation just by putting your attention on it in the morning. You connect with your soul light, you expand your soul light out past your body, right? Because we have this energy field about 8 feet around us that holds all the information about who we are and our experiences. It's where the mind is. It's where all the thinking does. So you take your light that is very tiny in you, and you expand it out, and you create a field. Now, anybody that you come in contact with, and that takes 2 minutes, if that. I do it in the shower in the morning, or I do it when I put a makeup on, it actually becomes a point where you just go, I'm already expanded. I'm already, I don't have to keep expanding. I'm in it, But here's the beauty of this, and I have used this with kids that have been bullied, teachers that have students that have problems, and that kind of a situation, where they do the soul light manifestation technique, and they create this field of love. Because when you tap into this energy field, it is pure love. It is the power of love too. So when you expand it, you can even keep expanding it past the 8 feet, 10 feet. You can have it, the whole country, after you get good at this. So everybody that walks into your energy field that you come in contact with during the day, and of course COVID screws this all up, but you can do it even with mental intention, they're walking into a field of love. And so you don't have to do anything to help the world other than be in your expanded expression of love. And so I had children that were being bullied, and I had them do this technique. And instantly the next day, the bully that came every day at lunchtime, to get the money or to punch them or whatever it is, bully didn't come over. Or the bully came over but kept walking and all. And it's because they had this expanded field of love, and their lower energies could not handle that. It was friction to them. And so I've had teachers that have had students they've had real challenges with do this, and they're expanding this field of love to their classroom, and the children are calming down, and the ones with behavior problems are getting better. And they didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to know what the problem was of that person, because that energy knows what that person needs, whether it's an emotional wound or, a mental wound or a physical wound. So we don't have to even know what person needs to be rebalanced. It's about rebalancing. And so we become this beautiful energy field that helps people without, I've had people with bosses that are a big problem, that they can't, they think they're going to have to quit their job, and they do this expanded thing. And within 2 weeks, the boss is inviting them to lunch and talking about a career, promotion with them. And they're like, Helen, I don't understand this. I said, because it's love, love is powerful. Love is an energy, and that's why, when I wrote Crappy to Happy, that was the first time, Dom, that I have come out to the world to tell them, of my gifts and the spiritual nature of them. And, and that, I've always done my work without really, given any background to the color energies. Like, well, how do you know about this stuff? And nobody ever really asked. So this is kind of like my coming out party of saying, the best and brightest of us, have access to these gifts as much as a priest or a shaman or whatever. We all have access to these gifts if we connect to the heart field, to the soul field. So that's why I really hope that people do start looking into this, this idea that what we're doing in this, this regular world paradigm is not working, and it's never really going to work. And people get really mad at me when I say that, but it's not. And how many hundreds of years of doing it do we have to prove that it's not? Because it's not a love-based system. It's capitalism is not, does not have a lot of love in it, and so, and socialism actually doesn't have a lot of love in it. That's another control thing, so we have to create something outside of this box, and the only thing that's outside of this box is love, because the boxes we make are just fear-based structures that protect us, and so that's why we don't consider that next new thing that somebody brings to us, because it's not in the box. Oh, I don't want to go outside of that box. It's dark out there. It's scary out there, but it's not, because they've never gone out of the box to find out that it's a beautiful nirvana, kind of thing. So that's where we are in this world. And unfortunately, we have to go through this chaos to break down what needs to be broken so that we can rebuild, And I don't even say rebuild the box. I say rebuild the foundation and forget about the walls. We need a strong foundation to set everybody free. to be creative and to gain the resources we need to make a world that's fair and safe and protects the earth itself. Yeah.
I love that. Like rebuild the foundation. It's so darn true because because when it comes to boxes, there's one buddy of mine likes to say burn the box because he's tired of folks saying think outside the box. Then there's other parts of thinking where it's like there is no box. We're tired of this whole box crap.
I know there is no box.
Like there's only a foundation because you have to stand on it. And to be honest, some folks are actually on a foundation built of sand.
Yeah, yeah, and they think they're on cement. you know yeah, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
illusion, is that they're not, and the illusion is breaking down. And I it's interesting because so many people that I work with, when the COVID came, they were like confiding in me, Helen, I don't even know who to talk to about this, but I feel happy.
Mm.
I was happy when things started getting this way. And I'm like, and that's the most horrifying thing to say to yourself. But I understand. And I was at peace because I went, okay, all right, we had to go here. We had many times we could have changed directions, but we had to go here. So let's just go here, get it over with, so that we can start really making a fantastic world for people, and it's sad that it has to be to this degree, but there is a part of me that believes that it could have been it could have been a third world war, it could have been a nuclear holocaust, but we're fortunate that we've had enough people turn to the positive, you know to the thoughts, that has created a very uncomfortable, cleansing of not people, but of of what's not working, of old ideas and old paradigms that need to be broken down. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's not even over yet. That's the thing people forget. It's like, hey, there's still
Yeah.
some cleansing that has to be done.
Yeah. Come on, wake up. Wake up. I want to go out. Moving during COVID is a really terrible thing. It's like you're new, you don't know anybody, and you can't know anybody. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that stranger over there. Something's up. Like, there's some weird aura going on. It's not bad, but it is different. I'm not sure about this different here.
Well, at least my husband and I like each other. We discovered that we really like each other, because we had plenty of time to like each other.
Well, amen to that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Because divorce lawyers about to become millionaires and over these next few months and counting, most likely.
Yeah. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope it's soon, very, very soon.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing about this wonderful soul light practice and exercise that you do daily, I'm pretty sure, is there something else you do to like protect the aura field, or is it something you do to maintain it after the fact that you do the exercise, or?
No, because that's all part of the wall. That's all
Okay.
part of the belief that we need to protect our light. We need to protect our goodness, our soul, from others. When you're in love, and love is such a misunderstood power. It is not just the romantic love. It is not just compassion. Love is fierce. You don't mess with love. When love comes in, it wins. And we just haven't been letting it in. So when a lot of people, and there's a lot of, people out there that are teaching all kinds of spiritual stuff, they get really mad at me, because, you've got to, have crystals and wash your crystals and put them in the moonlight and all that stuff. And you've got to create an art, some kind of a barrier around your aura and everything. No, you're powerful. You don't need protection. There is dark forces out there, but as long as you are in your expanded soul light, they can't come near you because they're a different frequency. And this is all about energy. The whole thing of existence is energy. Everything is frequency. and everything's like got their own frequency. Your body, all your body systems, that's what the colored energy is, also a frequency that matches these things and helps harmonize them. So when there's dark force around you, and let's say, it's like a radio, and so that dark force's energy is, I hate to use certain genres because they get all mad, but or let's say it's hard rock is the lower energy, right? It's staticky, it's chaotic, it's crash, to your ears and all. So we'll just go with that's the lower energy, right? And let's say that my teacher, what I'm talking about, that soul light energy, the color energy, is classical music or opera, right? That's the frequency. So the dark force, the dark energy cannot exist at that radio station frequency, of the opera or if it gets close to it, it's not the same resonance. And so it gets pushed away. So it, like a bully's energy cannot walk into your field of love without feeling uncomfortable, because your energy is resonating at a higher frequency, and it just can't be in the same place, so that's why I say we don't need that protection, because if you are in that higher frequency, if it's a lower frequency, it's not even going to bother with you, because it's got so many other easy targets, so really, so that bully, he goes to the next person. He's got to find that person that gives off that energy, that's the lower fear energy that he kind of feeds on. It's like, he's looking to grab your energy. He can't grab something that's higher because it burns his hands, but that kid, 2 tables over, that's sitting alone eating a sandwich and is fearful, all shriveled up at the table. He goes, oh man, that's an easy one. I can just go and pick this one up. But, you could be the tiniest guy in the school, and if you are connected to your soul light, that bully's not even good. Like you would be like a football player to him. And I'm not messing with this kid. He's, and they don't even know why, but they know not to go there. And we're all like that. We all can't understand why. Look at the political parties, and you have friends that are on one side of it, and you're on the other side of it, and you're trying to tell them, your version of why they should, change parties or change, their vote for somebody, and they can't even hear you. They are so into their belief of what they see is true that, you're just static to them. You're not making any dent, by talking at a different level, so that's why we have to learn also, when you are with other people, to know where they are. So talk where they are, not talk down to them, not talk at them, but talk with them and listen to what their complaints are, and don't preach to them a higher calling. Get down to their level, and yeah, that's right, it sucks, you've lost your job and all that stuff, and your dad was a coal guy, and this is, your life has been hard. Yes, it has, and that's what you need to do. You need to acknowledge, yeah, I feel your pain, now what can we do with that, and how can we fix this with integrity, and they'll come up with 20 things to agree with you. We've got to start. And that's the thing about, people need to step back, and there's a bigger world. There's a bigger reason why all these things are going wrong. And we keep running outside ourselves and trying to find the next guru, or trying to find the next leader to fix it. And it needs to start just with you. Connect with your own power, and then you will help. It'll just ripple out, and it will start helping others in ways that you don't see and you don't need to know, and that's when we start living in harmony, right? And that's the goal. And we just can't see it. There's no way to see what the answers are until people connect to that part of them, and then they will easily see that the system, this is the way we can change the system to be fairer for all people, but we can't get there until we understand that we're not even connected to our own power. even if we're, living a good life and, making a lot of money and all, we can't see the answers until we come from the heart.
Sweet. So where do you recommend folks to start when it comes to coming from the heart?
I say that what you need to do is to start coming into yourself and sitting for a few minutes in quiet silence. It's not even about, connecting to anything, meditation and, all that stuff. It's becoming still. It's going to what they call the still point. And the still point is where creation starts, the void. That some people call it the void. There's a couple other different expressions for it. But since we all have that creative source inside us, we go there. And we don't have to think or try anything. Just sit in silence. How many times have you, how many times do we sit in silence and not read, listen to music, listen to, anything? Just be in that space.
Oh, yeah. There we go. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. And the solid advice, and you're
Yeah.
definitely right, is to really be in true silence because you're right. Like from time to time, it's like, heck, even a buddy of mine wrote a book called Turn Down the Noise, and he stopped listening to music for about a good 6 to 12 months because he wanted to really get within himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked wonders for him. And it's just and that's just one of many people that it can really work wonders for. So speaking of working out wonders, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're out teaching your wonderful goods?
Oh, that's a good question. Question that I guess I'd like people to ask me, can we make a better world?
Yeah.
Because I would tell them yes. Yes, 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 yes. I don't care what problem we're facing. I know climate change and we're on the verge of extinction and all that. But I truly believe that if we go to source inside, if we all go to what is the same in each of us and connect with that, the answers in that silence, in that creative void, that's where the answers will come. We already have them out there. There are solutions all over the place, but we don't have a level playing field. We have this power gap where, the corporations, the leadership, the governments are controlling everything. And so those that are finding the solutions are being quieted and sometimes even snuffed out. And we're not even paying attention to that we don't even, like a lot of people probably listening, don't even know that we have free energy machines made in several different 10 dozen different kinds of machines that can give us free energy. And there's a list of inventors that have disappeared or have been died mysteriously. Now, what we're paying attention to is a kind of a circus going on in, government and TV and all that stuff. And if we paid attention to that and demanded that these big, companies let these inventors sell their products, and invested in these people, we would start solving the world's problems, So we have to become more conscious of our world and what's really going on. And we have to stop getting distracted by the bright lights and the baubles over here, and we have to really do our own conscious research on things. Expand your channels that you watch, include science channels and National Geographic and some of these other TV stations that are not on the radar for most people, or the YouTube people. We have to do it. I do it all the time. I research things that I just want to know, is this real? Is this a potential? And, I'll watch the show, I'll follow the trail, and then I'll, go, oh, okay, well, that really isn't going anywhere for me, or it's not really true, kind of thing. But I find new discoveries all the time for medicine and, medical treatments, all these things. They're even still kind of in the system that people don't know about, that they're doing. And they're just on the lower level because the pharmaceuticals don't want you to heal without a pill, kind of thing. We have to start acknowledging that we have to go to a conscious base analogy of what's going on and say, is that a fair playing ground? That's the question you need to, is that fair? Is that fair for everybody? I'm not saying that everybody gets everything exactly the same, but is this a fair way of doing it so that that everybody has access to it? Just start there and we can change the world. Is our school system fair? Is this inner city school fair versus the suburb schools? Are they getting the same education? Are they having the same textbooks? Do they have the same buildings? Or are that, or is there such a difference that it's not fair to a inner city school kid to think that, oh, well, he's not working hard enough to get up the ladder. He doesn't even have the same textbooks, he doesn't have the same quality, the amount of teachers and all those things. So if we just go to, let's have a fair school system. I mean, let's not take education away. Let's not change the system itself, the buildings, but let's just rebuild it so that everybody has the same level of education. And so then it's up to them to use their own initiative to get as far as they want to go.
That's right, especially if they want to go north, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sneak that one in there.
Yeah.
But yes, indeed, definitely got to have a more conscious world, and folks need to be truly conscious about the world, not fake woke, as a lot of people seem to be going down that evil rabbit hole of fake wokeness. But for those who want to be fully woke, and we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2020, with all of your knowledge and experience, what would you tell yourself?
Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to tell people who you really are.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. You too can speak in tongues and fall out and stand tall when everybody else is falling out. That's right. Let me stop.
Well, I call it light language, by the way. and actually, Don, I just got that 6 months ago. And that's why I was able to write that story, Crappy to Happy, because I finally did get that gift. But it isn't, it's a little bit different than what you see at church. And it is, once again, just an energetic frequency. That it's a sound. Like most light language is not a language. It's sound. It's sound energy that has healing properties to it.
Yeah. Light language. I like it. There we go. That's right. So that's what folks need when the lights are off. Some light language. That's right.
It's very powerful. It really is. I was afraid of it, when I first started doing it, and I haven't done it much, but I have worked on people with it, and they have a blast. They just laugh. It's such a funny thing. They just laugh on the table, but they get up and they feel wonderful, and, yeah. But my most important mission that I want to fulfill right now is to get people in touch with their inner power, their soul power, and to get them to not only know it's there, but connect with it, because you have to connect with it before you can take advantage of all of the new modalities, healing modalities that are coming in, and different new knowledge that is out there, that we're bringing in. It's almost like you need that soul connection. It's like the generator, and you need to plug into it in order to have the power to really connect with these other layers of healing modalities that are out there. And, because it's all just getting connected with your own frequency.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, for those that need help with getting in touch with their own frequency and be higher than all the radios, what's the best way for folks to reach out to the Heavenly Helen?
Oh, well, you can go to my website, helenheinmiller.com, and you can email me at helenheinmiller@verizon.net. And I have some freebies on the website of the Soul Light Manifestation Technique and color energy video and a meditation that people can listen to there or download and use as you'd like.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Mm.
Head over to Helen's site, grab them freebies. You can put them under your
Yeah.
metaphorical Christmas tree
Yeah.
and unwrap them on the same day. Don't even wait. Just unwrap them as
Yeah.
soon as you leave some good old information. Check it out like a
Yeah.
library book.
And if you
Yeah.
like to read, read Final Redemption. It's a very enlightening fictional story that is really, really speaks to today and to the soul light issue. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can count me in for snagging a copy after this interview, too. So definitely snag yourself a copy as well as the FR, the Final Redemption.
Mhm.
That's right, indeed.
Mhm.
And not left. So, any parting words before we close it out, Helen?
Well, I'd like to say chaos is order reorganizing. And that's my quote. You might be able to look it up too, but I'd like people to think about that. Chaos is order reorganizing. So I hope that people carry in their heart, instead of fear of what we're seeing going on, the understanding that it's necessary for us to peel away all of that darkness that is in our world so that we can get to the light, and that there are better days coming after in 2021. We are going to see shifts happening, and because we are really going to come into a new understanding that we can no longer survive on the planet with the way we're going now. And so we will change. And I think it's going to be faster and lighter than most people think. I'm very hopeful for the future.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message, because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway, because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.